Hello and welcome to Back to the Boardroom. I'm James.
And I'm Greer.
And what a active episode we've just had.
Very active. Lots of interesting things to talk about this week, including some crazy creative ideas.
Yes. Frogs must be like the bad word
Yes.
of the day. So, this episode was all about gamified fitness. So each team had to brand their own game, create an avatar, record an intro, and then present it to a panel of investors where the team with the most investments will ultimately win.
I thought it was quite a good task, even though it's been completely set up for, I think, all of your interests. It was a really good one, and I love Lord Sugar being at the beginning, not actually there, but being on a screen and created again, which was quite fun. But it showed a lot of strengths in the team, but also quite a lot of weaknesses.
Yes, absolutely. And Lord Sugar was not present at the briefing once again. He seems to like using either a video or a VR or sort of avatar of himself to excuse himself from the early mornings.
Yes, it's a very expensive way to get out of it and just have a lie-in, but okay, it's a theme now that he does.
Yeah, don't lie. If you had the money, you'd do it to get out of early mornings.
Oh, absolutely. I think I'd use it to get out of everything. So, a great episode this week. Shall we go through some of our top moments already? As always, there are a lot. I'm going to go straight into it. We've already said frogs, but I just think the most ridiculous and biggest top moment for me was, why on earth did they come up with those creepy, standing on two-leg frogs? They called them demon frogs. They called them, just wicked frogs or something. Where did that even come from? And why? Why was it like a lovely sort of idyllic garden scene, and then these killer frogs were coming out of it?
You should have, you probably did. You saw Tim's face. He was horrified.
So horrified. I also really enjoyed when Karishma first saw that game on the screen after she had put a lot of time and effort into creating her one on the other team, and she saw those frogs, and honestly, that was a picture as well.
Crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy.
Madness.
I don't know what they were thinking about, but it created good entertainment, we'll say that.
Yes, it did.
So moving to the other team, and one of my best moments was when Karen said Kieran and Connor should just wait in the car.
Yes, I loved that. It was fun hearing Karen actually say a positive thing, and she said to Karishma later on that she was like the boss instead of the final boss on her team. And I did actually write down, you'll be proud, I'm trying to be more positive this year. Karishma was doing so well. We highlighted her a few weeks ago with her directing abilities on the advert as being a potential finalist, and I actually think this week has strengthened her case. She was really good at storyboarding the ideas, knew what people wanted, and knew how games worked. And yeah, it was great seeing Connor and Kieran especially really, just in comparison, do nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really good episode and task for her. So I like it. It's following on the positive trends.
It's continuing.
Also, we had quite a few jibes at each other this week. I'm going to start with Kieran saying he'd be a great children's entertainer. This was in relation to, I think, Priyesh's acting as the PT for Team Alpha's game.
Yeah, that was a weird one. And then I think, well, perhaps I was going to say the strongest, but I'm going to say this now as the second strongest, because maybe we'll talk about one of the bigger bust-ups in the boardroom. But this one was between Rothna and Rajan, who seemed to, I guess, get into a bit of a weird argument when creating the game itself. I mean, what he said, just because I played a game doesn't mean I'm a gamer, and then said a comment about, well, just because you baked a cake or eaten a cake, it doesn't make you Mr. Kipling. And I think Karen even called that rude in the boardroom as a rude comment because Rothner brought it up, which I thought was good. I'm glad she brought it up. But
yeah, I think it was a bit uncalled for.
So uncalled for. And then he made a comment as well when they both continued talking and sort of designing. He was like, well, you can ask my opinion, by the way. I am sat here or something. And she was like, we are just not talking to you because A, you've just caused a ruckus before, and B, because I'm facing this way. But he took something very personally, and it was an odd one.
I do like that word, ruckus.
Thank you. I pulled it out of obscurity somewhere, which is a theme of this episode. Wherever the frogs came from, ruckus came from too.
One final thing from me that I found quite funny. Karishma's quote about when she was quizzed about who are driving these flying cars. And she was like, they fly themselves like Teslas.
I like that too. I wrote that down as well. That was going to be my final top moment. I just thought it was hilarious. A great put down, but I also like the idea that Teslas are out there flying themselves.
Absolutely.
Now my anxiety level has gone very high because it's that time of the week. It is our elevator pitches. Now, James, what have you and the independent adjudicator cooked up for us this week around fitness and VR?
So, well, it's not fitness and VR, it's fitness and games. You don't have to do the VR angle. And, a game may be more passive. So doing general fitness gets you rewards. For example, like Pokemon Go, generally walking around, you're passively playing the game, I guess, as opposed to something like they did today. Because I wanted to take a different take on it. So, what we have got, as usual, the pieces of paper are here. So, I believe the independent adjudicator has come up with 4 words that you have to include in your pitch. And I assume talk about. That would make sense. 2 of the words are fitness related. And 2 of the words are gaming related.
Oh, I love this. Okay.
So, I mean, I have no idea what's on this, but for example, I don't know, what's a gaming word? Level, maybe.
Yep.
So, for example, you would have to talk about how your idea that you've come up on the spot includes levels.
So we've got a really creative task around fitness and around gaming, and then also you've got to be clever and incorporate those words all in a minute.
Yes,
impossible.
Exactly. And sorry, for any of you new here, the elevator pitch is where a challenge is set, and myself and Greer have 60 seconds to present to you, our lovely listeners, and maybe even Lord Sugar, our idea.
I'm going to say the caliber of elevator pitches this year is incredibly high. Like not our pitches, can I just say, sorry, the work done by the independent adjudicator to come up with an elevator pitch. They're top notch this year.
They're pretty good. She's been hard at work. Okay, as usual, I will give you the honour of going first.
Thank you so much.
But that means you do get the choice.
I do. And so last time I did the straight up vertical piece of paper. I'm going to go back to the old faithful diagonal.
You're going back to the diagonal.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. I've got 1 minute, 60 seconds on the clock. And it will start as soon as I've read you your 4 words.
Oh no, the laugh.
Right,
oh,
interesting. No. Okay, so, right, Greer, your 4 words. 2 gaming words is skill and loot.
Okay.
And your fitness words are warm up and interval.
Oh God, okay.
Your 60 seconds starts now.
So I think I'll start talking about the fitness first. Obviously, warm-up, there's a warm-up element. And this is where you learn the skills that you're going to be using throughout the main exercise, which will be, oh my God, I forgot the word, interval training, which I'm going to pretend to know what that is. And at different intervals, you do different exercises, like squats or lifting weights or other things that you do when you exercise. And the warm-up is what it begins with. It shows you the different skills, and then the actual main game is with the interval training, and then you get loot when you've completed each individual thing at different intervals, which is the main crux of the fitness game. God knows what type of fitness stuff you're actually going to be doing, but that's the basic thing. This is so hard as someone that's not a gamer or into fitness. Oh, absolute panic. I couldn't even remember the words halfway through.
I thought you did a good job.
That was tough. My point was like some sort of warm-up that you then use those sort of skills in the actual game on the main fitness part. And then, I don't know, you do things at different intervals, and how many you complete, you get loot. It was very hard.
I thought it was a decent attempt.
That's very polite of you. Everybody at home will disagree. Now, James, you're holding up the straight up vertical bit of paper. You're absolutely raring to go with yours.
Oh, well, I don't know why.
You're so excited.
I can't remember. I think last week's was pretty disastrous, or was that the week before?
I don't know. I think this is a disastrous week for me. I actually hope that you've got hard words. So please read your 4 words out to us.
Okay,
he's opening it up.
Opening now.
Okay.
Oh, for goodness sake. Okay. The 2 gaming words I have is quest and spawn.
Ooh.
And the 2 fitness words are consistency and recovery.
Okay. Excellent words all round. You ready?
Yes.
Minute on the clock starts now.
Okay, so starting off, this game or app is all about building up consistency, but at a healthy level. So to do that, I guess you spawn each time at somewhere, a start of a level, and you go on a quest. And the whole point is that select activity is a quest, and you are coming through the level as you do more and more of said activity. But the important bit here is recovery as well. So it's important to be consistent, but at the same time give your body the right amount of recovery. So you won't be able to spawn again until you have had the adequate amount of recovery, and therefore your character will regenerate and you'll be able to do the next quest for more consistency.
Love it. Okay, time is up. That was great. I like the idea of a quest.
I had no idea where to get spawn in, how to put spawn into the...
I think you did that very well. I think yours was definitely a more fun game than mine. We both went quite sort of like the mechanics of the game. Perhaps instead of story-based, we didn't really go frogs or anything. We were just working out the mechanics, which was quite good. But yeah, at least we didn't get frogs in there.
Yeah. I thought that went better than I expected, actually.
Yeah. I thought that was good. A hard one, though, this week, I think.
I would love if Lord Sugar would write in and rate them.
You'd
actually... probably crucify us.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know. It's going to sound a bit weird that I would really love it if Lord Sugar gave... I was going to say a dressing down. That's really not what I mean. Hang on. I would love it if Lord Sugar actually essentially just ranted at us about how terrible our elevator pitches
The equivalent of Gordon Ramsay rating,
yes.
the Instagram dishes.
Yes, exactly. I'd love it if Lord Sugar did that for us. But we do have you, our listeners, who could possibly rinse us about our elevator pitches as well. And a good place to do that is on our Instagram at Back to the Boardroom. But you can also send us a WhatsApp message. And if you're feeling particularly vocal, you can send us a voice note as well, where you can let us know whose elevator pitch you liked best this week, mine or James's. You can send the voice note to 07379 171 890. Now it's time to go back to the boardroom, and this week it was a really eventful boardroom and we have quite a lot to go through. But first, the main event of this portion of the podcast: what on earth was Lord Sugar's secretary up to?
Now, I knew you would ask this. So, same work as last week, it looks like. I don't think she's completed her last week's task, because I could see the same coloured heading tables and chart. Maybe it's a big piece of work, and it's taking a fair few attempts to get through.
Well, she needs to be busy with something else this time next week. Now, I don't know if it's a good time before we get onto the boardroom drama, but stop press. I have a brand watch.
Ooh,
I know.
okay.
This never
I have
happens.
Quite a few.
Do you this week too?
Yeah, I have. I think about 5.
Wow, okay. Well, I thought this is what happens. I think I have done something quite cool. And then James absolutely goes, well, I've done it several times. So mine, you will have got this. I was intrigued by what they were using to create the games, the software. And I saw in the corner that it was a piece of software called Unity 6. So
Yes,
there is my brand watch, one that I had never heard of before, but I have now learnt.
Yeah,
Which I thought was going to put me in a really excellent position, and you'd be like, wow. But no, hit me with your 6 brand.
I did get that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've actually got 5. Sorry,
Okay.
not 6. Okay, so obviously one was Unity.
Mm-hmm.
Could you guess the other piece of software they were using?
Probably Adobe Illustrator.
I think Illustrator or Photoshop.
Okay.
It's like a half brand watch for the logos. Now, in the house, I think this was after the task, Lawrence was going over to get some food, and there was an iconic orange packet which could only contain Warburton's Toasty Loaf.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, or bread even. So that is another one. I don't think we've seen it before, but there was a clear shot of one of the designers using an Apple MacBook.
Mm.
And finally, have you spotted this? I'm pretty sure I'm right, but you can tell me if I'm wrong. Tim, I believe, is wearing Meta glasses.
Yes, and I put this at the top of my notes because I thought, do you believe he's actually recording what is going on? And do you think Lord Sugar is going to watch that?
Maybe.
I thought that was cool.
That's a cool way to, I guess, recap what they saw.
Yeah. Maybe it could be his own personal strategy then. You know, he wants to make sure he feeds everything back to Lord Sugar, and by documenting it is good. Or maybe he's got a brand deal.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And my final, it's not really a brand watch, but it ties in with the secretary and looking for details. And I did actually freeze the episode at this
I love
point
this.
because I feel like they've never shown this. They show that when they were looking at the computer, they had a file explorer up. So
Okay.
I was like, I'm definitely having a sneak peek at all of these files.
So funny. You've sort of visually hacked the file system.
Exactly. So this folder is called BBC Apprentice S20.
Nice.
And there's folders in there called briefing, builds, music, task, training room. We had Driving with the Top Down, which is a song from the Iron Man original soundtrack. And logo design aero PNG.
Oh, I like that. Bit of inner workings.
Exactly. I think this was, I can't remember. I think this was the Frog team.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was very surprised that I didn't hear that song from the Iron Man soundtrack, because I thought then it would be part of their pitch, or maybe I did and I completely forgot. But that is my data dive this week.
Oh, I love that data dive. We're going to use that next week at this point in the podcast. I'm coming to you for a data dive. But now let's dive back into the boardroom, because there were some mad things going on. Now, first of all, James, do you want to go through the actual numbers of the boardroom and how they went? And then we'll get into the comments.
Yes. So after all of the initial discussion, we were left with Alpha having all 4 investors pitched in, and a total of 205,000 invested. And they said they loved the game but hated everything else. And Eclipse with 3 investors and only 55,000, which still both seem quite high numbers.
They were pretty good. Maybe there's just a lot of money to fly around in fitness and gaming.
Some frog enthusiasts.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? People that love amphibians. So that is great. Big numbers. But there were also some really petty things going on in the boardroom. So first of all, I thought it was really interesting that Karen let us know that the team was going to get more investment, but Kieran's sort of floundering with the questions and terrible answers actually stopped the team getting more investment than they could have done. That's quite a brutal thing to have picked out. Like, your inability to think quickly and deliver something well has caused a monetary loss.
Yes, so I feel slightly sorry for Kieran, because I believe the error of this lies with Harry. He should have brought Karishma in for the presentation. At this point, I wonder if it's tactics. Like, they don't bring people in because they don't want them to overshine too much. I genuinely couldn't see a logical reason why that would happen. At that point, everyone knew she had the idea. She knew all the terminology. It's a no-brainer. Bring her in the pitch. Maybe start with other people talking, but any hard questions, Karishma can answer.
I agree with you. I don't think there was any logical reason, and it does sort of reek of tactics, as you've said. Another sort of frosty thing that was happening was Lawrence had taken over the acting in the task, and so that meant that Levi was sort of just there as a hanger-on. He didn't really have a lot to do. He was just there to agree or disagree with Lawrence, and Lord Sugar really didn't like that. But Levi took it very personally in the boardroom, which I guess that you would, because you've been essentially omitted from doing anything in the task, and it was commented that Lawrence could perhaps speak a bit clearer. Whatever that means, we're not sure, but Levi took that to mean that it was because of his Yorkshire twang and his accent. And I know, and I imagine, when you do have a thick regional accent, it's been a thing for years in the media, just in everything. Accents seem to be picked up on, people seem to have a prejudice around them, and there's been a lot of work to actually highlight people with regional accents and make media and TV and radio sound more like the actual country. But I think that touched a nerve. Anybody that does have a strong accent will have probably also thought your comment about needing it to be clear is down to my accent. So despite we've spoken about Levi's strange tweets and perhaps his personality out of the boardroom, I did feel a bit sorry for him with this Yorkshire twang moment, but then also just that he was completely sidestepped because Lawrence wanted to get his 5 seconds in the sun acting for whatever reason.
Yeah, so maybe I'm talking a bit too soon before we've done who they brought back, but I have to say I've been very impressed with Lawrence, as has Lord Sugar, over the last X number of weeks. This week was a write-off. I think he executed it wrong, and it kind of looked like he was playing underhand sort of dirty tactics, which Lord Sugar didn't like. And to be honest, I'm amazed he's still in the process. I think that's his one chance. That's it. I think it's very much fair game from now on.
I think so. That was really not good, and probably one of the worst boardroom moves that we've seen. It kind of showed what he would be like in business, and which wasn't great. The idea that he said, well, you've made it very clear, Lord Sugar, kind of playing Lord Sugar in a way. It was just not great. And he said a few times in the boardroom things that I found really cringe and just odd. So that was one. You've made it very clear, Lord Sugar, I have to bring back Levi. Why? Weird. And then he also said, which I didn't like, a bit of a sucking up moment with Tim. Well, I've heard you say on a podcast, Tim, that it's really important to put yourself in with your, your strong points in the right position during these tasks. And even Tim was like, shut up. Lord Sugar's made it very clear. Why are you trying to butter me up? Very odd. He has been strong, but I don't know if I'm gonna say he seemed a bit slimy in the boardroom this week.
I hope he's learnt from this experience, is what I can say, because he showed so much potential. I hope this was a wake-up call, and maybe in the next episode things will turn around. We will have to see.
We will see. Something that is going to be happening in the episode, though, is that Levi is going to be project manager next week, and Rajan was ultimately fired, I think, for some of the combative nature in the team, but then also being in that design team as well. And I'm surprised Lawrence is still in. I thought he was going.
Yes, I thought it might be a double.
Yeah.
I think the Levi project manager thing was probably the best thing, because Lord Sugar clearly said he hasn't seen enough of him. This is his chance. I think he'll be make or break next episode. But yeah, I think Lawrence has come off with his, come off very lucky. And I think Rajan did need to go. From what we saw, it wasn't great. It was like saying, he got very defensive when he was assumed to be a gamer or someone that likes playing games, but then did not make any effort to contribute. So I don't know. Didn't play out well in my eyes.
We've heard how the candidates did in the boardroom this week. Now I'd quite like an update on how we are doing in our own challenge with our prediction update. James?
Yes. So
how is it?
I'm going to give you a couple of updates. We're focusing on 2 today. We're not going to actually look at our predictions. We'll refer back to that later. I want to build a bit of suspense, so we'll refer back to that in a future episode. But it is surrounding our predictions, obviously. It's 2 things. It's the hours update and the team scores. So we'll start off with the team scores, because that's nice and simple. So we've had I think 5 of the 8 episodes where the teams are named and they either win or lose, and we are currently at 3-2. That's 3 to Alpha and 2 to Eclipse.
Nice.
And then we move on to the narrator hours, which is obviously a very, very big part of this show.
Yes.
And I've got some interesting news for you today. That every episode up until this episode has had a new distinct hour, but there was not a new distinct hour this episode.
Oh, we're getting through it then.
We are getting through it. So I can tell you a bit of stats from this episode was there was 6 hours, and there was no repeats for those hours. They were all unique. But that brings us up to 53 hours have been said in the series so far.
Okay.
And 18 of them are distinct. So we got 18 out of 24.
That's pretty good.
And a tidbit for you. Obviously, the main hours that have not been said are 11 p.m, 12 a.m, 1 a.m, 2 a.m, 3 a.m. And what other hour?
Okay. I'm going to say it's going to be something completely different, like in the middle of the day or something.
It is indeed the middle of the day.
Is it midday?
Midday.
Oh, wow, okay.
Because they normally say midday and not 12 p.m.
Oh, yes. Okay. That's good.
So there you go. A quick update on team scores and the narrator hours. And now you know what that means. It's for the best part of the show. It's Apprentice News with Greer.
With me. Okay, so the first news story we've got this week, it's a juicy one. It continues the bust-up between Levi and Lawrence, and it's being reported in the tabloids that a World War III, probably not the best phrasing, bust-up happened during filming for this episode. Now, Lawrence and Levi apparently got into it when they were back in the house. We saw a little bit of Levi saying, "Don't ever do that again," which was a bit frosty. But apparently, when the cameras were off, it all came to a head. Tensions were running high. One candidate was shouting and swearing at the other, and producers had to speak to them both afterwards. And it all boiled down to the loyalties. There was a lot of gameplay. One candidate mistakenly gave the impression that they wouldn't bring the other back into the boardroom earlier in the episode, and they went back on their word. So we can deduce who is who, and we can have a think about perhaps who was shouting and swearing. But I knew that would blow up really, when they got back to the house or when the cameras were off, because we did get to see a little bit of that issue. Exactly.
It looked quite frosty, and that was with the cameras, so they would be kind of on their best behaviour for that bit. So, yes, not ideal.
No, Lawrence wouldn't be enjoying his Warburton's toasty after that, I don't think.
I hope there's no chipped chinaware.
Yeah, that. Hopefully not. And the other bit of news that I wanted to go through is that I found it interesting this week with the investors and the focus groups. We had something happen that I don't remember happened before, and that's one of the people that were in the focus groups actually turned up as an investor in the presentation, and that was somebody called Miles Jacobson. I thought, well, he stated his name loudly and proudly on The Apprentice. Who on earth is it? So I thought I'd give you a little bit of a rundown about who he is, and somebody else that I noticed in the investors too, that if you're a TikTok or a social media fan, you might have also recognised her. So Miles, he has an OBE. He's the studio director of Sports Interactive, the company behind the Football Manager series of video games and the creators of the original Championship Manager. Did you know this already, James? You're nodding your head like you've played Football Manager.
I have played Football Manager before. And I knew instantly, as soon as Sports Interactive came up, I was like, Football Manager.
See, this is what the non-gamer of the podcast doesn't know. But I thought this was quite interesting. He first became involved with Sports Interactive because he was a fan of the games, and he had obtained an advanced copy of Championship Manager 2 in exchange for 2 Blur concert tickets. And then offered his services as an early tester and became an unofficial business advisor to the company. Then he became an integral part of the team and assumed the role of managing director in 1999 before taking it on full-time in 2001. And apparently Sports Interactive, under his leadership, has grown from employing 5 people to being one of the best-known UK game development companies with over 280 staff and a network of apparently 1,400 researchers across the globe, which I thought was incredible. I like the Blur concert tickets. Good bit of bartering and swapping there.
Yes. I think who you're going to say next. Is it Grace Beverley?
It is Grace Beverley. Now, she is a bit of a social media sensation, really, in the sort of fitness and business world. Someone that I've known from TikTok. She talks a lot about productivity and fitness. So she started Grace Fit UK, which was her name on social media, doing YouTube and tutorials and things like that. But she also has founded a couple of fitness-related businesses that have done very well, and they're enviably well. The first is Tala. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, it's a competitor to Gymshark, I believe.
Yes, but apparently she's done like brand deals and stuff with Gymshark too, so she may have learnt the ropes through those partnerships. And she also has a brand called Shreddy as well. And another little fact, she studied music at St Peter's College, Oxford, which I thought was cool, bit different to fitness. So Tala is launched and turned over 6.2 million in its first year. It's like a fitness, sportswear and fashion brand, like you said, like Gymshark. Shreddy, on the other hand, users pay the firm a monthly fee to access exercise classes and meal plans on a mobile app and can buy the equipment related to complete the classes. There's also a shop with dietary supplements and protein bars and stuff, for example, and the protein bars and supplements are stocked in supermarkets and pharmacies. I think she's an interesting character. She's quite young as well, in her mid-20s, I think. So
I was going to say, presumably to get shredded.
I believe so.
Like the play on the words there.
And a bit of Apprentice news has come in from one of our listeners. Adam has sent this to our WhatsApp, and it is a video of Lawrence from this week's episode talking about one of the biggest unanswered questions I think everybody has about The Apprentice and getting ready in the morning. It's that moment when the Lord Sugar's team calls up and says, the cars will be with you in 20 minutes. How is that many people getting ready in 20 minutes? Getting their hair done, a shower, go to the toilet, eat their breakfast? That's absolutely impossible. But Lawrence has shared a bit more information, and he says that actually just because the taxis are going to be there in 20 minutes, it doesn't mean they're actually leaving. So a bit of a loophole.
So is Alan Sugar paying wait time or whatever?
Yes, I know the meter is probably running for Lord Sugar and on all of those taxis as well, not just one. So he did sort of say that everybody needs to get mic'd up and they need to have different shots, and they also do have time for breakfast, because that's something that I was a bit worried about. They weren't getting a croissant or porridge or some fruit or whatever they're eating, and then they've got a whole day of business. But apparently they do get time, which is good to know. But he also told us that he was always late to come down from getting ready, and he blamed it on Priyesh, saying that Priyesh took so long in the shower and he couldn't get in. I know, poor Priyesh. He's been told you'd be a great children's entertainer, and now he apparently spends too long in the shower. But yes, we finally got an answer to that. Thank you, Adam, for sending that over to us. If anybody else has any Apprentice news that you'd like to share with us, please do WhatsApp us or send them to us on Back to the Boardroom on Instagram. So that is everything about fitness and gaming discussed and analysed this week, including a detailed data dive, which I'm sure we'll come back to next week in the next episode.
I don't know, it might be a one-off. But next episode, get ready. It's if one buying task wasn't enough, it's buying task part 2. I don't think we've done this in the previous series, but the 9-item task is back for a second time this series. And this time we're going to the Isle of Wight. And it looks like, at least from the trailer, they have to make it to a hovercraft at the end. And I feel like they're going to drive off without someone.
Oh, I kind of hope so. That would be brilliant television. It's a great format, that 9 items challenge, so it's quite fun that we're getting it twice in a season.
Absolutely. I am looking forward to next week already.
So, James, do you have a final thought for us this week?
I guess my final thought has got to be, will Levi prove Alan Sugar wrong?
Well, we'll have to tune in next week to find out, and Back to the Boardroom will be back the same time next week too, and we'll see you then.
Bye.